The dust-laden air hung heavy with the stench of death as rescuers pulled lifeless bodies from the depths of the abandoned Stilfontein mine. It was a scene of unimaginable horror, a stark reminder of the perilous lives led by South Africa's illegal miners, the ZAMA ZAMAs. Hundreds of these desperate souls had descended into the derelict mine shaft, seeking a fortune that lay buried deep within the earth. But for many, their pursuit of riches ended in tragedy. News of the disaster sent shockwaves across South Africa. Frantic families gathered at the mine's entrance, clinging to the hope that their loved ones would emerge from the abyss. Rescue workers toiled tirelessly, battling treacherous conditions and the ever-present threat of collapse, to bring the trapped miners to the surface. As each hour passed, the grim reality set in: not all would make it out alive. The final tally painted a bleak picture. 246 miners were miraculously pulled from the clutches of death, their bodies bearing the physical and emotional scars of their ordeal. But for 87 others, there would be no reunion with loved ones, no second chance at life. Their bodies, some found huddled together, others scattered along the mine's treacherous tunnels, served as a chilling testament to the human cost of illegal mining. The Stilfontein disaster cast a harsh spotlight on the plight of the ZAMA ZAMAs and ignited a fierce debate about the role of government and the desperate measures taken by those seeking to escape poverty's grip. It was a tragedy that shook the nation, forcing it to confront the uncomfortable truths lurking beneath the surface of its economic prosperity. In the wake of the Stilfontein tragedy, the South African government came under intense scrutiny for its handling of the illegal mining crisis. Much of the criticism centered on Operation Vala Umgodi, a controversial initiative launched in December 2023 with the stated aim of eradicating illegal mining across the country. The operation, whose name translates to "close the hole" in Zulu, sought to tackle the problem head-on by sealing off disused mine shafts and disrupting the supply chains that sustain the illegal mining networks. On the surface, Operation Vala Umgodi appeared to be yielding results. Nearly 2,000 illegal miners were apprehended in a series of raids, and numerous illicit mining operations were shut down. The government hailed the operation as a success, claiming it was making significant strides in curbing a dangerous and costly practice. However, critics argued that the operation was heavy-handed and did little to address the root causes of illegal mining. They pointed to the fact that many ZAMA ZAMAs were driven to such desperate measures out of poverty and lack of opportunity, and simply sealing off mines would not deter them from seeking other, potentially more dangerous, means of survival. Furthermore, some argued that Operation Vala Umgodi had directly contributed to the Stilfontein tragedy. With their usual access points sealed off, the miners were forced to seek alternative routes into the abandoned mine, often taking greater risks in the process. Trapped underground with their escape routes blocked, they were left vulnerable and exposed when disaster struck. The operation, it seemed, had inadvertently created a death trap for those it sought to apprehend. The debate surrounding Operation Vala Umgodi underscored the complexity of the illegal mining issue. While the government grappled with finding effective solutions, the ZAMA ZAMAs continued to risk their lives in the shadows, driven by a combination of desperation and the glimmer of hope that they might one day strike it rich. To understand the motivations of the ZAMA ZAMAs, one must delve into the depths of South Africa's socio-economic landscape. For many of these men, illegal mining is not a choice, but a last resort, a desperate gamble for survival in a country grappling with high unemployment, poverty, and inequality. They come from impoverished communities, often in rural areas or neighboring countries like Mozambique and Zimbabwe, where opportunities are scarce and the allure of striking gold holds a powerful sway. Driven by the need to provide for their families or escape the cycle of poverty, they venture into a world fraught with danger, their dreams fueled by tales of unimaginable riches hidden beneath the earth. They operate outside the law, often exploited by criminal syndicates who control the illicit trade in gold and other precious metals. They endure backbreaking labor, working in cramped, poorly ventilated tunnels where the air is thick with dust and the threat of collapse ever present. Many are undocumented migrants, fleeing economic hardship or political persecution in their home countries. They face xenophobia and discrimination, denied access to basic services and constantly living in fear of arrest or deportation. They are a marginalized and vulnerable population, their voices often drowned out by the roar of the mining machinery, and the indifference of a society that has failed to provide them with viable alternatives. Section 4. A world of darkness, conditions in the illegal mines. The world inhabited by the ZAMA ZAMAs is one of darkness, danger, and despair. Deep underground, away from the sunlight and the gaze of the law, they toil in conditions that can only be described as inhumane. The air is heavy, thick with the stench of sweat, dust, and the decay of organic matter. The only light comes from flickering headlamps, casting eerie shadows that dance across the rough-hewn walls. The tunnels are cramped and claustrophobic, often shored up by nothing more than rotting timbers or precariously balanced rocks. Cave-ins are a constant threat, and the risk of being crushed to death is an ever-present reality. The miners work long hours, often without proper safety equipment or training. Accidents are commonplace, and those who are injured or fall ill often have no access to medical care. Food is scarce and of poor quality, often consisting of little more than stale bread and watery soup. Water is even more precious, collected in grimy containers from dripping rock faces or stagnant pools. To survive in this subterranean hellscape, the ZAMA ZAMAs must develop a remarkable resilience, a capacity for enduring hardship that belies their often frail physical appearance. Section 5. Communities under siege, the ripple effects of illegal mining. The impact of illegal mining extends far beyond the confines of the abandoned mine shafts. It casts a long shadow over the communities located near these sites, fueling crime, violence, and social unrest. The presence of large numbers of ZAMA ZAMAs, often desperate and living on the margins of society, can overwhelm local resources and strain social cohesion. Competition for work and resources can lead to tensions and violence, both among the miners themselves and between the miners and local residents. Prostitution and drug abuse are rife in these areas, as are other forms of criminal activity such as theft, robbery, and extortion. The illegal mining industry, with its promise of quick riches, attracts criminal elements who prey on the vulnerable and exploit the desperation of the miners. Moreover, illegal mining operations often damage infrastructure and disrupt essential services. They tap into electricity grids, causing power outages, and steal water from pipelines, depriving communities of this vital resource. The environmental impact is also significant, with illegal mining operations often polluting water sources, degrading land, and releasing harmful chemicals into the environment.